Welcome back to this lesson. In this lesson we're going to finalise these last little bits with this worksheet, and then we're going to start heading towards the budget planner itself. So this is the first stage of it, but we've got one or two things we just want to get in place. So one of the things I want to do is we're going to need to be able to identify the month, and we could do that simply by interrogating the dates we've got here, but there is an easier way, or a nicer way in many ways. And to do that I need this spare column. So I'm going to put month there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this. Now I could do equals month and then direct it across to there, close the brackets, and that will give me a number. Now I'd have to convert that number, but as we learned early on, if I simply said text, direct it onto there, comma, speech marks, and then just put 4 M's, we know that that will give us the month. And the nice thing with that is when I go down, that will give us, and there's February appearing there. That's what we want. So I'm going to take that all the way down to the end, and that's lovely. The other thing I want is I want to restrict this list here, the category. I want them only to be able to select from that list. So I'm really interested in all of these to only be selectable from the list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the whole of January. And I'm just going to copy that. I'm over here, and I'm just going to right click and paste value, and I'm only doing that in case there's some formatting or anything else I don't want. I just want the values. So get used to the idea of choosing the right form of paste so that you know that you're not copying anything over that might be hidden inside there. There's no formatting or anything else. I can see that, but it just helps. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through those, and I can see that these are all fine. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to sort these into order. Now, 2 reasons for that. One is that's how I want it to be done, but second of all, I can now easily see the duplicates. And what I'm going to do is right click, delete, and remove the ones that I don't need. So income's there, so let's get rid of those 2 groceries and an income, and then shift the cells up, and there they come. I've got an insurance there I don't need, so again delete, shift up, there. Lots of sundries, so again right click, delete, shift the cells up, okay. So now I've got my list there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over here, and in fact from that point forward I'm going to scroll all the way down to the end. I'm going to go to data, data validation, and go back to settings, choose list. Where is the list? Click on there, and that's there. So that's the list I'm looking for. Press enter, potentially put in an error alert, so list only could be our text, and then please select only items from the list provided. There you go, full stop, click OK, that's done, and we can see that there's a nice list. What's really nice is that because I selected all the cells, that list follows all the way down, and that's really nice, and I've got almost everything I want in place. Now a couple of other things I'd like to do here, going back up to the top and looking at those. I'd like to have these filtered because I might want to filter through. So if we remember, I can go to home and find, and then I can sort and then apply the filter. You might have noticed that under data there's the filter as well, and I can click on that and it will do the same thing. Let's just widen those cells nicely. There they are, and I've got that working just nicely there. So that works really nicely without any issues whatsoever. Then we've got to the stage that really we've got everything we need. I can click there, and there are the months, and that works really well, and I've got the categories, and I can say, right, well I don't want to see everything, I just want to see the insurance, and now I can see all the expenditure for the insurance, and I can deselect that and click there. I don't want to see this, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the whole table, and we've done this before. I'm simply going to hide what I don't want to see. I'm then going to select all of these columns, and I'm going to choose a color that I do want as a background so I can see those quite nicely. Now I don't want people to be able to change here. The date's fine, the income's fine, the list is fine, and these are. So what I want to do now is I'm going to select all of those, and I'm just going to put a boundary, so a border on everything, and then I'm going to select the bit that people can change. And I'm going to scroll that all the way down. In fact, what we can do is, because we want that all the way down, I'm going to select everything along there and then tell that to be white. Now clearly that's affected the header, but I'm going to go across to there, and maybe we choose a slightly different color for the header so it stands out. So maybe, oh, there you go. So I've got that. Now we know that the other thing I can do is select all those, go to review. Sorry, before we do that, we need to right click, format cells, protection, and remove the locked. Now that does mean that people can change these, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is select just those, right click, format cells, go back to protect, and put the tick back in locked, so they can't change the headers. Now all people can do is click into these. If I went to protect worksheet, I can then decide what they can do. So they can't select lock cells, but they can select unlock cells and things like that. I'm not going to do that for the moment, so cancel that. And the reason why I'm not going to do that for the moment is because we've been working purely with Excel in its rawest form, and there are certain tools that we've avoided using at this stage. This is a table of data, and this is incredibly useful, and just the way we've done it is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but we might want to treat this, do some other features. For example, let me try and give you one of those features. When I go to the bottom here, if I started putting in a new item, 18th of the 12th 2021, so this is now copied down, which is really nice. And in that time, we went to a new restaurant, and that was called La Cucina. And this was obviously eating out. So, but can you notice the drop down's not there anymore? So eating out, and let's not follow through. And we spent £24.32. And again, the formula's not copied down. Now that's not a horrendous thing for us, because we can do that, and we can, when you knock on the format, so I don't want to lose the eating out, but I want this table. So I'm going to go to the bottom right hand corner, hold right click, not left click, hold the right mouse button down, drag it downwards, let go, fill formatting only, and that should bring down. But that hasn't brought the list down. It's still not brought the list down, and that will change colors and everything else. But if I want to do that fully, I have to do that, which means then I've got to change that to eating out, and all of that is messy. And what I really like to have happen is that I can change these. Even the format there is not worked. By the way, that copy down, right click, copy down, fill formatting only, and then that works. So there it works, but not with lists, and so things get a bit messy. That works because it recognized, Excel recognized there was a formula before that, so it might copy it down, but it doesn't do it always post. So what do we want to do? Well, let's now go down here, or up here, sorry, down. Let's select everything, all these columns there. And what we're first of all going to do is actually remove everything we've done. Choose no fill. There's no filling in there. I'm then going to choose this top row, and I'm going to remove the filter. And part of that's going to help us see what we want to do. So just remove the filter. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that cell there, hold down the control key, hold down the shift key, and press the down arrow key to go to the end of our list. I'm then going to let go of the control key, but keep holding the shift key down. Press the right arrow key to select all of those, and then go to insert table. It's then going to ask me, well, is this the table? Well, yes, I've just selected it, so good, that is. And do I have table headers? Yes, I do. They're at the top, so click on OK. And you'll notice it's now colored everything in. So if I now go to the end, control down arrow, then if I go to this cell here and I start putting a new one in, then you'll notice it automatically starts filling it in, not only with the data but the formatting as well. So I've got everything I'm looking for in those cells. So this is going to be gifts and presents. I haven't got the drop down list, that doesn't follow through, but okay, if I start typing in sundries, it's going to follow. We might tolerate that one, and we've got £32.32 gets added to there. So there you go. It's got an incredibly healthy balance building here. Not much seems to be going out. That's very good. Anyway, what we've got here is a really nice table, and tables are incredibly useful. They're great ways of analyzing data inside this area here. There are certain things we've got to get used to. They have a slightly different way of referencing inside and everything else, but it is worth getting used to these because it does give you the filter controls and it does do the filling in of the data at the bottom. So that's really nice to have. Now what we're going to call is we're going to put this, and we're going to give this the statement. So statement, and then we're going to click on here and choose a new one, and we're going to choose this one as breakdown. So what we're going to have here is an analysis of the data from here. So we're going to first of all start, so in this top section up here we're going to have a month by month general breakdown of what we're looking for, and then down here we're going to have a breakdown of our specific month, and we're going to hopefully include some graphs and charts and make a general usage of that. So let's see how we do with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a cell. I'm going to choose C3 at the moment, and I'm going to put January. And then I'm going to grab that and run this all the way to December, and there. Then I'm going to choose these ones, and I'm going to look for a month. So September's quite a long month. I've only got half of the E, so I'm going to grab that and pull this out. Now I can see that 70 might do it, 80 definitely will. So let's take that out to 80, and now I've got everything balanced, and I can certainly at the moment center everything as I want to. So that's quite nice. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this row here, and I'm just going to merge and center, and we're going to call this annual analysis. And all I'm going to do is click into this C4 cell now, and what I want to do is I want to sum up all our income, but only for January. So that's relatively easy to do. All I've got to do is go back to here and say equals sum if. Now we've only got one criteria. Is it January? So I'm only going to use the sum if statement here. And it says range, so where are we looking for? Well, we're interested in this range here, and that's this column here. So wherever it says January. Now I'm going to go back, first of all put a comma there, and it then says criteria. So I'm going to go back to the breakdown and click on January, and I'm going to click another comma, and it says sum range, and that's going to be the whole of the credit column. I'm going to close the brackets off and press enter. Now we get 4241.32, and we know that because we used random numbers in our generator. But am I right? Well, all I've got to do is just select the whole of January, which is there, and look down at the status bar, 4241.33. So let's just have a look back, 4241.328. The 8 will cause that to round up, so yes, that has done the sum of those. But I can already see a problem with this. This system will only work for 1 year. If this goes into another year, we get problems. So let's solve that problem now. Let's first of all go to this B, right click, insert. We're going to call this one year. And we're going to use the same thing we did here. which is basically go equals text, open brackets, that cell there. Can you see the format has changed now? Now we can still use the cell referencing, but it's not chosen to. Now we could say C2, there's nothing wrong with that, and then we can tell it what format we want. Yeah. I put it in lowercase just because I wanted to, but that now works. And look at that, it's followed all the way to the end, which is superb. That's exactly what we want. So we've now got that, and I'm going to widen that. If we had chosen the other way and used the date system, we'd have had to select on the cell, and it would have looked a lot different. But there's no reason why you can't use cell referencing. And if you decide to click on the cells, get used to the idea the format changes, because this has now got a table name allocated to it. But let's go back to here. How does that change this? Well, now we need two criteria, and the SUMIF isn't good enough. So we're going to do equals SUMIF S, open brackets. Now we're asked for the sum range because the criteria can go on forever. So we're going to go back to here and say, right, we're going to sum up this column here. Okay, so it then says criteria range. So we're going to do comma, and we're going to select the first column. Then it says, what's the criteria? Well, we're going to go back to here and click on January. Now we don't have our second criteria yet, so let's get that sorted. I'm just going to close the brackets, press enter. We still get our 4-2. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to demerge this by just clicking there. I'm going to delete that part there, and we will create a basic list here. It's not going to be anything flash, so go to data validation, and because this is a new system, settings and a list. Now I haven't created a list for this yet, so let's go over to here and let's select a few of these. So let's just select column Y, and we're just going to select the first up to number 10. So there we go, just there, just for the hell of it. Just remembering we've done that, click OK, and then 2021, 2022, and then select those two and pull that down to 10. Just there. Now we can go back to our list, validation, and check that, that's fine. So when we click there, 2021. So that's okay. We'll now merge these together again. So back to home, back to merge and center. Annual, I've forgotten what I had there, so let's put it annual review. That's perfectly fine, and we're ready to go. We know we can change that to currency, but we've got a couple of things still to add. So I'm going to go back to there. It's asking for the next criteria. When I press comma, it's going to say criteria range 2, and that's easy. That's this column here. And what's the criteria? Well, now we've got it, that. So it still works the same, but that now means that if we get a date for 2022, so we go right to the bottom, Control Tab down. If I then decide, okay, well here, I'm going to go for the 1st of the 1st, 2022. Now we've got January 2022, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an income, income 1, and we're going to put this as income because that's what it is, and we're going to put 1,500. So we had 4,000 something. So if this counts this in, it should end up going to 5,000 odd. So let's just go to the breakdown, and that stayed exactly the same because it's only looking at 2021, and that works. Now, if we pull this sideways, we know what's going to happen. So what I'm going to do is click there and press F4. Both of those get locked in. So go to there and press that. So that doesn't change. So the statement A doesn't change. Breakdown C3, well, we want that to change as it goes through, but we don't want this to change, and we don't want the year to change. So if I press enter now, I should be able to drag that sideways, and that should sum up for each of the months. let's just put those as currency, and then we've got that quite nicely. So we can now put the term income there. So we've now got our annual income review, and that's really useful. So we now want to go on to the next part. And for this part, we're going to want to go back to the statement, and we're going to want to take our little list here. Now, if I could remember where it was about here, and one quite nice thing to do is unhide, and we just want to find, oh, it's not going to be there, is it? It's much further up. So refill that. Let's take that right to the top, and what I'm going to want is the list that's somewhere around there. So no fill. Let's just take that list there, copy. And all we're going to do is paste that somewhere just down here, again just the values, and then we can widen that, and then what we can do is put those that way there. Okay, so let's put this back to where it was. So we've got our nice breakdown there, and we're going to want a total debits. So I'm going to put that in comments, total debits, and we're going to sum up obviously what we calculate here. I feel that this could be better served. I do feel that this is better served, but we'll look at that later on. So we're going to do a very similar thing here. We're going to do an if sum s, but we're going to do that a little bit more complex. So let's start looking at that. So equals sum if s. Where's the sum range? This time we're looking at the debits, comma. Okay, what's the next thing it's asking for? Criteria range 1. So again, we're going to just look for January, comma. And then what we're looking for, so we've done that. Where's the criteria? Well, that's January, so we're paying attention to that month there, comma. What about criteria 2? Well, criteria 2 is exactly the same. That's the year, comma. Where's the actual criteria itself? That's there, so that's fine. But we want another one, comma. And what we want is we want to worry about the sundries. So I've got this in the way, which is I can just move that across. And I'm interested here. So I'm interested in clicking on there, comma, then going back to the breakdown and just selecting that. So we're interested in January of 2021, but only the eating out. And close the brackets, press enter, and that was the total we had for eating out. Now again, we've got to be very careful here, but we know that we would still want only the debit column, so F4 will do that. The statement A, so that's where the month is, and again that doesn't change, so we want that to stay as A. Breakdown C3 does change, so we want C3 to become across here, so we don't want the 3 to change, but we do want the column reference to change. Statement B, that's the year, so F4 to lock that, and the year at the top, we don't want that to change, so F4 that. Where the debits are, don't want any of that to change, so that's fine. But here again, we want it to stay in column B, but we want the number to change. So column B is the one we want to lock in. If again I pull that this way, that should then do it for each month. And if I drag it downwards, that should do it for each area. We shouldn't have income, so we can delete that one there. Shouldn't have had income in the other one either. I hadn't spotted that one, but that's fine. Again, let's collect that column together and let's turn it into currency, and now we can see those. We can now do equals the sum and just select the sum of that column, and then we can drag that along, and now we've got the sum total of each month. So we've got a really nice monthly analysis. And when I'm doing that, this is when I look at this and think, wow, shouldn't we have income 1 and income 2 and then we want total credits. So we can just do a full analysis. Well, that means we just got to change this statement here. Everything else works fine, but we want to set another criteria. And that's the really nice thing about the sum if s. So we're looking at that, just looking at the debits column, but we want to set another criteria. The criteria range is in here. Sorry, not in there. On the next one across in D, comma, and where is it? There. Again, when we pull that across, when we pull that down, we want the 4 to become 5, but we don't want the B to change, so we lock the B in. And we always want it to be column D, so let's lock all that in. Let's press, oops, I put, because I wasn't where I should have been, which is there, and press F4, which has locked that. Then when I press enter, that value will change. If I pull that across, those should change. If I pull down, those will change, and then all I've got to do is equal sum of those two. Now we can already see there's a fault because income 2 hasn't appeared at all. So let's just see what I've got. I've got income 2 there and income 2 there, and we can see that it's got 1 6. So something has gone awry with our formula. So let's just see if we can see why. If I click there, I can see it's taking into consideration income 2, and I can see it's concerned with the year. So what else has gone awry? Now, it's really difficult if you're going through that, and this is where these dollars make it, you've got to be very careful with them. And if I look very carefully, if I click there, I can see where those are. Good. And if I click here and I click back, I can see the January has moved, and that's because of this. I didn't lock this one in to here, so that should be there. So what I need to do is change this to C3, and remember that I needed to, and that means I didn't lock it in here. So this needs to lock into C3. And remember, what you ideally want is a single formula that you can pull that way and pull down, and it works. And you want to get used to doing that. So that should now summarize correctly. What are we missing there? Well, the reason why that's £1,000 down is because we've not gone in with our starting balance. But that's fine. We're only interested in what's coming in there. So if I then pull that across, we've then got the balances there. Okay. To fix that, all I've got to do is I'm just simply going to insert opening balance, and then I'm just going to put 1,000. Obviously we want that to be currency. Open that a little bit wider, make sure that's right aligned, and all we've got to do then is extend this. And again, remember, you can do that by grabbing the little handles in the corners, extend that out. Now we've got the right one, but we want to do that all the way across, and that will be useful later on. Okay, that's enough for this lesson. When we come back, we'll do some more tidying up, and we'll add in the monthly analysis. See you in the next video.